Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel for another Bible study. Um, I have a few notes. I did keep up with my Bible reading on a daily basis, but as far as keeping notes, that's another story. I do have some notes here that I'm going to go through. I think that will make a good enough length of a video. We have had snow, freezing rain, power outages, frozen pipes, uh, just a lot of things going on. I'm here in Oregon and we just had a winter blast. So I've been keeping up with my Bible reading, but as far as keeping notes and stuff like that for a video, not so much. But I hope all of you out there that struggled in this storm, whether you're in Oregon or somewhere else, I hope you guys are safe. I hope there's not too many costly damages for you guys because it's just miserable out there. Anyway, on to our Bible study. I wanted to first mention that my last video, someone had commented, and I wanted to go over that really quick. Thank you very much for commenting this. But on one of my videos that I did, I believe it was the last one, when I was referring to money and God. You can only serve one or the other, God or money. And I had mentioned in that video, I've heard the saying that money is the root of all evil, and was wondering if that had something to do with what I had read for that day's reading. And there was a comment from one of you guys. Thank you very much for your comment, to read 1 Timothy 6:10. And but yeah, 1 Timothy 6:10. I had to look at my notes. And so I did that. We're not at Timothy yet. If we're following this book step by step, we're not at Timothy yet, but I went ahead and ventured into Timothy to read that. And yes, it mentions that. 2 Timothy 6:10, it says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs." That made me think, and I've actually thought about that most of the week until our storm hit, and but it was there because it is true. There is so much greed. There's a lot of things that circle around money in today's society that I don't really think there's many of us that think outside of money anymore. I mean, there's people that live off grid, then they don't need money to survive. I know that I would never be able to do that. I would totally fail. My first night I would fail. I just don't have those skills. Um, I just don't have those skills to be able to take care of myself and take care of everything I need to take care of without the way society runs today. Um, I'm been over the last few years started becoming frugal, and as time goes by, with what I've learned from being frugal, I continue to implement those things to where now I am more frugal than I was 5 years ago, and 5 years ago I was more frugal than I was 10 years ago, type thing. And so I'm still working on that. But as far as me personally having to live with zero money, I don't think I could do it. But to implement that in my life, I think that being um, as frugal as I can and making what money I have get me as much as I can without being greedy, um, without totally destroying my life or somebody else's life, because I know that there's people out there that, money is their drive. I don't believe money is my drive, but I do believe that um, we need money to survive, period. Unless you are able to have what you need, your knowledge and stuff, to live off grid and make it work. But um, you know, you need money. If you have a place to live, you have to give somebody money to be able to live there. Um, And whether it's a rent or mortgage, if you have a mortgage payment, you have to give somebody money to be able to live in your home. And when your home is paid off, you still have to give somebody money to stay there. That's your taxes and your property insurance, your homeowner's insurance, and food. You know, there's you've got to give somebody money for your food. Um, if you hunt, if you get your food that way and follow the rules, then again you have to have permission um, to be able to hunt, and then you have a limit. Um, God gave us permission to use or to eat off of this land, the plants and the animals, but we have to use what we take. I mean, we can't just use some of it and waste the other. We have to use what we take. So, we all rely on money in some way, and just some of us feel that we need more money than what we actually do need. And I'm working on being more frugal than what I am. And I love doing my money savings challenges, and it's money I already have that I'm putting away. So to me, I feel like I'm using my money to make money, even though I'm not making money. I'm just putting it away and letting it sit there for later. But anyway, I do appreciate the comment. I don't know if I answered the question because it was this same person that commented to look at Timothy also mentioned on how I could implement that in my life in the future. Not completely word for word wording what they said, but I know what they meant. I don't know if I answered that correctly in the way that you were thinking, but that was how it came to me. It's like, well, gee, I have to have money. I just don't need a lot of it. I don't feel that I have to have a lot of it, and I am definitely not greedy. But I do get what this means. I get what this means, and I really do appreciate the comment, and thank you for commenting with that. So this devotional book here for day 8 and day 16, um, I think kind of goes hand in hand, at least the way I'm reading it and how I'm reading it, the message that I'm getting from this. So let me read day 8 out of this devotional book here. It says, how would it affect your life if you truly understood how important you are to God? God perfectly cares for everything he has created, including sparrows and wildflowers. That's mentioned in Matthew 6:26-30. As his child and image bearer, you are much more important to him than flowers and birds. He, the creator of every star in the sky, is mindful of you. You can trust that you have and will have all that you need under his protection. That was day 8. Now, skipping up to day 16, it says, it is essential that you remember the times in your life when God has shown himself to you in special or significant ways. Unlike Jacob, you probably don't have a permanent limp to constantly remind you of your encounter with God, but nevertheless, it is important to remember and celebrate God's faithfulness so that in times of trial, when it can be easy to doubt God, you have something concrete to look back on to remind you of how he always cares for you. Those two together, when I read day 16, I thought, hey, I just read something like that, and I flipped back through these pages to find day 8, and I read those two together like I just did. And to me, they definitely go together. I did, talking about having something concrete to look back on, I did make a list of some things here. In my last video, I mentioned that I have been in remission now 38 years from leukemia. And back then, they didn't think I was going to make it. And I had one child at the time. And so to look back on the last 38 years from there, going with day 8 and 16 in this little book, I thought, well, the last 38 years of my life, I have, which at one point in time, we didn't think that was going to happen. And during that 38 years, I had a son. So if the doctors were right, my son wouldn't be here. So I thank God that I had those extra 38 years and counting, because I have my son. And I also have 3 grandchildren that still would be here, but I never would have gotten to meet them and they wouldn't have got to meet me. So those are the 3 things that I am thankful for. Those are the 3 concrete things that came to my mind instantly when I read day 8 and day 16. Those are the 3 things that came to mind right away. So I did write them down in my notes here to talk about and share with you guys on this video. So then in day 16, when it is mentioning Jacob with the limp, if we go to Genesis 32, 22 to 32, it's titled, in my Bible anyway, it's titled Jacob Wrestles with God. And so I'm going to read some of that. It says Jacob 32:22 is where I'm starting. It says, that night Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. I don't know. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. The man asked him, what is your name? Jacob, he answered. Then the man said, your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. Jacob said, please tell me your name. But he replied, why do you ask my name? Then he blessed him there. So Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, it is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared. So I read this a couple times because it's titled Jacob Wrestles with God. But then when you're reading about this little wrestling match going on, it doesn't say God, it says the man. He's wrestling with a man. So that was kind of confusing to me. And so I thought, well, maybe the man is God. But then it says that the man couldn't overpower Jacob. At least how I'm reading it. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that the hip was wrenched as he wrestled with the man. So I thought, if it was God that he was wrestling with, then God could overpower him, couldn't he? Is what I'm thinking. God can overpower him, right? That's what I'm thinking. But it says the man. That's titled Jacob Wrestles with God, but it says the man. So I pulled out my phone again because I wanted to know, who is the man that he's wrestling? And I have it pulled up on my phone now. Let's stay there. So on Google, who is the man in Genesis 32:24? It says, but before his confrontation with Esau, Esau, Jacob sets up camp for the night. Without warning, an unnamed man starts to wrestle with him. Slowly it is revealed that this unnamed man wrestling with Jacob is actually God. Okay, so it explains why it's titled Jacob Wrestles with God, but if the man was God, then how come he couldn't overpower Jacob? That's where I was stuck. And I still think that I kind of am. So I scroll down a little farther, and this is, what is beneficial for Jacob to wrestle with God? And it says, Though not apparent at first, this man is really an appearance of God himself. Perhaps it is the guise of the angel of the Lord. Jacob's wrestling with the Lord will bring him great blessing. In much the same way, our engaging God blesses us. And so I kept scrolling down because this is God that he's wrestling with. It and I scroll down more and it says, what is the lesson of the story of Jacob? On my phone, it says, it is as if God is reminding us that there are no perfect people, no perfect marriages, no perfect families, no perfect churches. Jacob was a liar, runner, cheater, and pretender, but God forgave him of his sins and used him to send Jesus into the world. He can forgive us and use us for his purposes as well. That was very interesting to me. So I learned a few things in this little section here. And it was very interesting. And this Google thing on my phone helps me get some things sometimes. Sometimes I still walk away with some questions, and I still, I guess, have some questions here. I still don't understand why the man couldn't overpower Jacob if the man was God, because I think God could have overpowered him. So if somebody wants to guide me somewhere in the Bible, to read that, if there is another area in here to read to help that make sense to me, please leave a comment below. I really appreciated the last comment in helping me look through Timothy and think about some things that way. That was really helpful to me. So thank you very much. But I also learned in this at the end, let's see, Genesis 32:30 says, so Jacob called the place Peniel, saying, it was because I saw God face to face, yet my life was spared, which I think I already read that part. But then up here, 32:31, it says, the sun rose above him as he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of his hip. Remember, his hip got wrenched by the man in question. It says that therefore to this day the Israelites do not eat the tendons attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. And I thought that was very interesting, because I know there are some religions out there that they don't believe in eating certain kinds of meat, or stuff like that. They just don't believe in doing certain things because of whatever the Bible says about that subject. And so I'm like, so that's why, which I never really knew they didn't eat tendons in the first place, but it was just very informational to me. And yeah, so I was stuck on this Jacob wrestles with God thing for a while, and I did some research on Google, and I got some questions answered. The man is God, but it's still, I don't know, unless God was giving him a challenge. I don't know. Maybe I answered my question and I'm just not seeing that I answered my own question. I don't know, but it was very interesting, and I did study on that little area for a while. That is all I have on my notes that I kept for reading. And to end this video, I am going to share with you guys, I got inspired. Last night I was watching YouTube videos and came across a video that talks about, or that shows you how to do junk journaling. Maybe some of you have heard about it, maybe you haven't. I never have. And so I thought, what is junk journaling? Well, I know what journaling is, and I know what scrapbooking is, and junk journaling is a combination of the two. And so that got my interest, and I was watching those videos, and they were making their junk journals, and they came up with some very creative ideas, very fun to do, and it inspired me. And when I was watching them make their junk journals on just whatever, I thought, hey, that would be something to do for Bible study, right? Is to make a junk journal and put, like, I don't know, parts of a psalm in there, or parts of a certain sermon, or like in this book, this inspirational book down here, you always have written in pink down here, it says, and this is for day 16, and Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Genesis 32:30. Just like that little passage right there, I could put in there, and say Genesis 32:30, and maybe put some pictures in there, or something. People use fabric, they use wrapping paper, wallpaper, all kinds of stuff. And I just thought it was a really, really good idea. So then I thought, you know what? I think people already have that idea, but it still doesn't mean I can't do it, right? So I did go to YouTube, and I searched. What did I search? I searched Bible junk journaling, and yes, there are Bible junk journaling videos there, and they are doing what I was thinking of doing, and I'm still going to do it. I just have to kind of figure out how I'm going to put mine together and get started. These videos are anywhere from 30 minutes to maybe an hour long, but if you are interested in researching and looking up what I'm talking about, to maybe get inspired yourself, if you don't know what this is about, just go to YouTube and search junk journaling or Bible junk journaling, and that will give you an idea what I'm talking about. And I think it would be a really fun and creative thing to do with this series of videos as we go through our 365 days of reading the Bible. I think it would be really fun to do, and I am inspired, and I'm excited to get started. I'm sure I have all kinds of supplies and stuff around here to start with. According to what they say on these videos, you don't need to go out and spend a bunch of money. You can just use with what you have. But so if you're interested, please go check out those videos. I don't really have any specific person's video to send you to. Just search on YouTube junk journaling or Bible junk journaling, and a bunch of videos will come up, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. I hope this inspires you as much as it's inspired me. I want to get started on doing it. I think it would be really fun to do that along with these videos that I'm doing. So that's all I have for today for the Bible study. Thank you for sticking there and watching this video with me. I hope that I've inspired you with this junk journaling thing. Please leave your comments below. If you have any answers to the man that was wrestling with Jacob, please let me know in the comments below, and I will research that in my Bible. And I will see you guys here next time for Bible study on Survive with What You Know. Have a great day. Bye.